Yeah, Halloween's coming. Yeah, true, it's only August. Actually, it's the August the 6th today. But Halloween is coming up here sooner than you think, and time to make some things on the laser. So I've got a bunch of projects laying here I've been working on. But what we're going to focus on here is something that's come up on our live stream quite a bit, and that is on making earrings. Very inexpensive thing to make. They go fairly quick, and from feedback we've gotten on from other people in the live stream, they're very profitable and they sell well. That's not something that we do and sell. In fact, I had to have my wife assist because I didn't know what the hardware was called that goes on earrings, because I don't wear them. I don't have pierced ears. So, give you kind of an example. This is a little earring here. It's like a little coffin. Hopefully you can see that pretty good. And then we have a matching pendant to go with it. And you can also make, those are made from wood. You can also make them from acrylic. This here is from black acrylic. You can also do that with wood and then paint it black. You can do them without painting them at all. And you can make larger layered pendants like so. Oh, what else we got here? We've got, these are not finished yet. They need another coat of paint, but here's a small ghost. And you can do a skull like so, and you can also make that smaller. And I'm going to go over how I do a lot of these. I'll get on the computer here and show you how these things lay out and how to cut them and where I got the designs from. You can also get little things like this little tiny skeleton right here, and then the one for the other side has the arms going the other way. And I'll tell you where to get the hardware you're going to need, and I'll tell you where to get the designs from. I did not design these. Everything here was, all these designs were purchased from designbundles.net. They're not a sponsor. It's just a place I'm a member there, and we use quite a few of their designs for not just lasers, but just all kinds of stuff. Sublimation and cut art on the Cricut, for example. A Cricut maker we do a lot of vinyl work with. So they got lots of things there, and I'll show you how to find some of these designs. They're not expensive, and they're very easy to make. The laser I'm going to be using for this demonstration here is the longer B1, because it's already sitting here, and I've been using it. We use this laser specifically just for cutting. It's 40 watt. It also does engraving, and it does okay. But if you're going to do a lot of engraving, and we've talked about this in our live stream too, 40 watt has got a pretty good spot size. So if you're going to do a lot of engraving, your sweet spot's going to be about a 20 watt. If you want a multi-purpose, do engraving and cutting and back and forth, you go with a 30 watt. Again, a 40 watt will do engraving, but if you've got a lot of fine detail, that's not the wattage to use. You want something a little less power, has a smaller dot to it. So with that said, I'm going to take you on the computer here, show you where I got a lot of these designs and how to get them, how to set them up. Okay, here is where all the files I'm using, designs I should say, came from. A place called designbundles.net. And again, I am not sponsored by them. I subscribe to this. I pay my monthly thing, and we get a lot of designs here. So again, up here, designbundles.net. So if you're going to search for laser, well, you can just click on laser cutting right here. I'll give you an example, and it will bring up just a plethora of things you can cut and make and get designs for. So kind of give you a little bit of a idea there. No, we don't need that. So what I'm going to put in here is Halloween, and then laser cut, and it'll bring up quite a few things here. So there's, example, there's stud earrings, paper cut, and something you can do with paper cut designs is you can do layered signs with it too on your laser. So the little skeleton earrings I showed there, that's right there. And you can resize them, and I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. But as you can see, there's just all kinds of things you can choose from. to make on your laser, and these designs are not expensive, and if you become a Plus member, you can get so many credits a month to use, and that's why you see all these get for 1 credit, and you don't see prices. There are also some that are not. Plus items. So for you see here, there's 60 Halloween designs, door designs for $1.99. So I mean, prices on here are very reasonable. 3D pumpkin, laser cut, $3.30. Get that design. Animal skeleton earrings. So there's all kinds of stuff here you can get. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go into Lightburn. I'm going to show you how I set some of these up and resize them. Okay, here I'm in Lightburn. So once you have downloaded your file from wherever you're getting it, actually I use design bundles. They come as a zip file. You'll need to unzip that first. Then you can bring in your design. So I'm going to open this up here. I'm going to pop up. So there it is unzipped. It's called Halloween earrings. This is just one example. I have a whole bunch of designs here that I've purchased from there. But so what you want to do here is go with flat SVG. That's the easiest to resize and edit. So you see you get this here. Well, some things here we don't want. For example, we don't need this red bar around the outside, so we'll delete that. Now you may not want to make all these at once, so what I do is just take some of them and drag them off the work area. I actually want to make that my cut. We'll get into speeds and everything here in a minute. I'm going to aim for these ones up here at the top. Now these may or may not be grouped. They are not grouped. So what I'm going to do is group each one of these. That way if you go moving them, they don't come apart. This will, up here where if you hover it'll say group selection, so you group that. Now I'm going to group those two together so that they stay together. Okay, so the height of this right now, you can look up here, I'm working in inches. Height is 1.57, so that's fine for earrings. You don't want to go too much bigger than that. And then I will center that here. And for my cut, I am going to be going with 1/8 inch plywood for this. I will go with 900 millimeters per minute, 100% power, and 2 passes. That is a particular plywood that I happen to have right now. This can change from batch to batch, from sheet to sheet, depending on where you get your plywood. Also depends on the thickness of it. And again, this is a 40-watt laser. It's a longer B1. So let's say you want to make something bigger or smaller, or resize it. Or you want a different design. Let me bring in another one here. We'll grab this one. I'll bring in the SVG. Okay, here's the little coffins. Now, these are 2-layer. And what I did was you could do an engrave. I'll blow this up. You could do an engrave in here, but I decided to do a full cut, and then this would be my back layer. So what we want this to do is cut everything on the inside before it cuts on the outside. So here, where it's actually set for fill, I'll change this to line. And then we want the same speed and settings. So it'll be 900 millimeters per minute, 100% power. And we're going to do 2 passes. That way it'll cut out the interior before it cuts out the outside. So that makes a big difference. You don't want to cut the outside and then go to the interior. So always make sure that your inside cuts or your engrave, either one, is always first. And then your final outside cut is second. Okay, with that said, let's say we want to make this a different size. I'm going to grab this one here and just move it over. I'm going to do, I should have grouped that first. Otherwise we'll lose our... So we'll group this. So when I move it, a little hole comes with it. Okay, we need to regroup this one, or group this one here as well. And you also want to do it with the other ones, but I'm just going to use these two to resize right now. So these two, I'll just take off the screen for now. Okay, our height of this is earring size, it's 1.82. Now if you want to make a pendant, and I did make a pendant of this, I am going to change my height to make sure your padlock's locked. I'm going to change my height to 3, make that 3 inches. I need to do the same thing over here. Got to make them exactly the same size. And then I can bring this down, get it kind of close together. I'll pull these two over. I'll center them in my work area. Pop this back down so you can see what I'm doing. So that would make the pendant size right there. So just give you an idea on how to resize things. And from here, we'll go down, we'll cut a few out on the laser. I'm actually up in the loft right now. It's quiet up here. Once we get down on the laser, it's going to get noisy because 40-watt laser is not quiet. So heading down to the laser. So okay, down here on the laser, and I've got this laid out in Lightburn here to cut both the pendant and then a pair of earrings of that little coffin, like I showed you in the little previous video there, getting set up and resizing. This is a good place to use scraps for if you're just doing small earrings. You can get a lot of them out of just scraps you have laying around. And I have a cut off down here of a piece that I'm going to be making this cut out of. So, little safety tip here. Yeah, even though the laser is shielded, this is a class 4 laser, it's not a class 1. So, even though it does have a shield on it, you don't really need to wear safety glasses for cutting on wood like this if you're just kind of walking around the shop or whatever. But if you're going to be looking at that, put these on. Even though there is a shield on there, that will still hurt your eyes if you're sitting there staring at that. So something to keep in mind there. So I'll get this set up and we'll get to do some framing here. I always frame first, but especially when I'm using scraps. That way I can use up all the little good spots on it. I have my framing speed set pretty slow so that if I need to make an adjustment with my workpiece I can while it's framing. Also, make sure you set your focus. Don't forget to do that. So I'm ready to start. So again, this is cutting the inner portions out first. And if you're wondering about ventilation, the shop doors are wide open and I've got a fan on behind me, so I'm not going to be breathing any smoke. I do have enclosures, but it's really hard to show this kind of stuff when the laser's inside an enclosure. And yes, this could be done in one pass with a little bit slower speed setting, but I find that I get a lot less scorching this way, and I do have air assist on. I'll still get a little bit of scorching with this particular brand of plywood here, and yes, there's a honeycomb board underneath, and it is slightly elevated so that it lets the smoke dissipate from underneath. If you're ever cutting with your laser and you start hearing little pops coming from underneath your honeycomb board, you need to elevate it just 1/8 of an inch or so to let that smoke escape. Otherwise, when the laser passes over again, it will ignite that smoke and make that pop, and it'll put a black mark on the back of your project. That's come from the School of Hard Knocks. And don't worry if you think that your laser's completely skipped a step. Like if you look at the earring closest, the outside cut isn't made yet. It'll come back and get it. So here's our pieces cut out. Well, they're a little bit scorched, but they're going to be painted, so that's not really an issue. when you're cutting lines that fine. And I could eliminate some of that scorching if I were to use a faster speed and then 3 passes. That's another option. Now, something you always want to make sure you do is clear all the little pieces off your board. Don't just let them drop down inside and forget about them, because when your laser comes by again and happens to hit down in there, it may ignite one of those and it'll burn the back of your project, like this. There's an example right there where I missed a piece and it caught fire underneath. Okay, you've got your pieces cut out, so now what do you do with it? Well, you can leave them just like they are if you like. I have these stacked here. These are 2 earrings and here's our pendant. Or you can paint them using acrylic paint like this, and if you have a very steady hand, which I don't, but I did hand paint these. My other things I've done with the airbrush. You would paint the back section black, the top piece white. Of course, you'd want to paint both sides. If it flips around, it'll look kind of funny otherwise. You paint both sides of that black, paint one side of this white, then this would be glued onto here. To do that, I use Tight Bond, Instant Bond wood adhesive, and the thick so it doesn't run all over. And don't go crazy with this because you don't want a bunch of glue squeeze out. Once I apply it to the back side of the piece I painted white, I then spray the accelerator onto the base. Yeah, even though it's painted, it'll stick just fine. And you have a few seconds then to get this on there and get it straight. So don't dawdle. You want to move pretty quickly. You only have a few seconds before that'll make a permanent bond. From there, okay, now if you try to put a chain right through that hole on that pendant, it would want to hang crooked all the time. So for that reason, use these little rings, split rings. You can get, these came from Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you can get those on Amazon as well. I also put them on the earrings, as you can see here. And then this little hoopy thing, I don't know what it's called. The wife told me this is what you use when you have pierced ears. This opens up kind of like a fish hook, or a safety pin, I should say. And you would put that through your ear and then hook it, and it would hang like so. So as you can see, there's a lot of different things you can make, a lot of different designs, and from what I told, these earrings like this sell spectacular at pop-up craft shows and flea markets and that type of thing. Again, earrings are not something that we do here, but I wanted to show you how this is done. So here's just a few examples. And again, this one here is made out of black acrylic rather than wood and painted, but you can certainly make any of these other ones out of acrylic as well. It's just a little difficult to paint acrylic. And if you have a diode laser, don't think you're going to start cutting clear or light colored acrylics, because you won't. You're pretty much limited to black or very, very dark colors. This is a layered ghost here. This is this same design, but with the interior things removed, and then the back layer is painted black. So that would be a large pendant or something you could hang for a decoration. Just kind of give you some ideas. So there's how to make earrings. Plywood, acrylic. You can also use 16th inch plywood if your Dollar Tree happens to have some. They sell a lot of shapes. Usually they're 1/8 inch, but a lot of times in their seasonal section they'll have some 16th inch thick and shapes of pumpkins and acorns and turkeys and weird things like that. $1.25, and you can make a whole bunch of earrings out of one of them. I just don't happen to have any of them right here right now. Again, 1/8 inch plywood works fine. 1/8 inch acrylic works great, black acrylic. You can do a layered earring, you can do a layered pendant, you can do what I call see-through, just a single piece. The hardware is inexpensive, and again, I'm told by a lot of people that make these, it's a profitable item. So there's how to do it. No, it doesn't have to be Halloween themed. It would be Christmas or Easter or Valentine's Day or just any kind of general purpose. You can find all kinds of designs out there to cut these out of. You can resize them as needed, or if you are talented enough, make your own design. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. Roger in the shop. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.